bringing you inside the USL Championship and League One.
Segmer's got there, Marquinhos! He's been knocking on the door! He knocks it down!
Diving into all the biggest stories and top headlines.
You are ripping and roaring today.
This is USL All Access.
It's almost impossible to recreate that level of magic.
With Mike Watts and Devon Kerr on SiriusXM FC.
Welcome, everyone, to USL All Access, a Tuesday afternoon show. It's Mike Watts, Devon Kerr with Emmett McConnell at the controls. Folks, we made it. We are finally here. The USL Championship Final is on Saturday afternoon or morning, pending where you are, on CBS and Paramount+. It is FC Tulsa, the 1 seed from the West, and the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, the 4 seed from the East. They both played 3 home games to get through in the playoffs. It was all chalk out west for Tulsa. It was a bunch of surprises in the East that teed up the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. For the first time, both clubs are in the final. We are going to cover it from tip to tail, get you ready for the game. We've got all league teams to talk about. Robbie Mertz, a star Pittsburgh native for the Hounds, going to join us. Not his first rodeo at this show, but it is his first rodeo without going to a barber first. Devon, here we go, dude. This is it. It's not the final that we thought we'd get in January or February or March or April or May, not in June or July, even August or September. But here we are in November, baby. It's happened.
Even the beginning of October. We didn't know. Listen, all BS aside, you got to tip your cap here. When you start with the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, the 4, this was an interesting season for them. Robbie Mertz is going to talk to us about it. There was a point in time in the year where fans wanted changes in the front office. They weren't happy with players. There was some interactions between the two groups on and off the field that didn't go well, and yet here we are. Of course they're in the final. And they've done it the way that they've always been able to do. Lockdown defending, physical play, transitional and set pieces in the right moments, although only 1 goal in postseason play, courtesy of Mr. Pittsburgh himself, Robbie Mertz. They deserve it. Tulsa, man, we sang their praises early. Luke Spencer, for me, all 3 Coach of the Year candidates are right there. But Luke Spencer, we talked about how could you not give it to him. I understand why he would go the other direction. The turnaround of a non-playoff team into a title contender, the dramatics at the end, could they keep it up? They just continue to chug right along, man. Their identity has been there from the get-go, and they are, if anything, fun to watch due to the dramatics. And I have no doubt in my mind that there's going to be drama on the weekend. We'll break the game down on the back end of it, but what a season it has been to come down to these 2 teams.
Yep, never followed the script, did it? Dev, let's chat about a player who I think you could say it could not have been a better script over the course of his career. The news came today that Niall McCabe, who spent 11 years at Louisville City, the full length of his professional career, 2-time Shield winner, 2-time champion, played 238 regular season games, 20 goals, 28 assists. Niall McCabe retiring from the professional game. The photos that were released by the club, he's flanked by a lot of trophies. You and I have been around. We usually travel for finals and for network games, which means we've gone to Louisville a lot over the course of the last decade. His humor, clearly he's glue within that locker room, the respect that he has from his coaches, from his teammates, the man he is off the field. To put it simply, he took a bite out of the league and GB took a bite out of him.
You're going there. You're going right for it, baby.
Yeah. It wouldn't be a conversation about Niall without some levity. There's not going to be another one quite like Niall. And as someone who's covered Louisville something like 170 times, and probably about half the games of his career, I've got the utmost respect for the guy, and I know you and I both wish him well in retirement.
Sad, to be honest, when I heard the news, because of everything that you mentioned. The first time that we were ever on site for a game together was the 18 final. And I can remember clear as day before at the training fields.
Stop.
And no, I'm not going to bring up your part. Don't worry. I'm going to bring up the part where we were getting ready to leave. I don't remember whose they were, but someone left their studs on the bench. And Niall had a field day. He picked them up, and there were some choice words that came out of his mouth. There were things that went on after the fact. It was hilarious. And since then, he's been nothing but great to us and to that club. You mentioned glue. Totally respect the analogy. I don't know if it does it enough service. I'd say concrete because he doesn't waver. He has recognized the expectation from day one under James O'Connor, found a way to help see the torch being passed under the triumvirate to John Hackworth, to the chains to Danny. It's been decade changes. It's been systems, personnel. He's the one constant, man. He's the only one there from the beginning, and he's an incredible human being. Honored to have spent some decent time with him off the field. Good human, and what he has done for the league and for the game in this country, for all you young kids at home, trust me, I know you want to get a homegrown deal. I know you want to be a pro when you're 16 years of age. It doesn't always go that way. And sometimes you have to chase the dream in a different route. Niall McCabe did that. He left his country to come to a D2 school in Young Harris to figure out that not only could he play this game at a high level, that he could change the game overall. He changed the league. He's not the only one, but he's a massive piece of a foundation that was set over a decade ago. And I think people need to realize that the journey can be whatever you want it to be. And if there's ever a better representation than Niall McCabe, you let me know, because right now he is the standard bearer for this league. He's been perfect.
You know, I'm just peeking real quick at the roster from 2018 when Louisville last won the final, right?
Oh, you mean do you mean when Luke Spencer scored the game-winning goal?
Cough, yes.
How the irony that he's now coaching in the final, by the way.
Right. Here's Paolo is leading the Louisville Academy and on the bench as a coach. George Davis is working with the foundation. I mean, Pat McMahon's retired. You're looking at Kyle Smith is still in Orlando. I mean, Brian Ownby coming back from the injury he did this year. Speedy is gone on to win again. Cam is gone and come and gone and come again. And there's Lukey on the technical area for Tulsa. Like you start to do the math and yeah, time has changed. I've got grays in my hair now.
Dude, I got
since
grays
that
in my
time.
Beard alongside the little red speckles. You know who did it best out of that whole group, by the way? George Davis IV, man, into the foundation work. He was on the sideline out in the cold winter, hugging him a couple years back. He's like, bro, my body's not meant for this stuff. He didn't say stuff. I'm inflecting that into this conversation. My man's hobnobbing, rubbing elbows, going to banquets. I got to text him, dude. He's got the life down, man. He knows how to rock it.
That's the way to do it. Dev, let's chat about a couple other news stories and get the onions out of the room and the tiny violin. Monterey Bay making an announcement. Oliver Weiss, who previously led the sporting effort at Orange County, spent a couple years at the league office, now finds himself out at Monterey Bay. He's been named the chairman of the club, chief soccer officer. If you look at the amount of young talent in the Bay Area, Project 510, you got the Quakes, you've got a really sort of fractured club culture up there that sees a lot of great players in a lot of different places, and then you've got Monterey Bay. They desperately want to see Monterey Bay 2 find its value. They'd love to see players rise into the academy, into the first team there in the long run. Oliver's going to be great at that. He also, while doing that, was around winning teams in Orange County. And every time they stumbled, they found their way back to the top. I can't speak to where it leaves Jordan Stewart. I hope it leaves him in position to have more support to continue the project. That would be my anticipation. But yeah, heads rolling in Monterey Bay. That's a big swing they took.
3 quick ones, 3 important ones. 1, the vision of what it's going to be moving forward. Oliver will make sure that's concrete. 2, the youth side has to become more prevalent within that club's journey. There is too much talent, as you noted, Mike, in that area to not be able to take advantage of it. And 3, can tell you for a fact, the position that he's leaving at USL has already been filled, and the person who is coming in has already had success in this country. It's another great hire.
Meanwhile, worth noting, Kimi Ordonez making a bit of a splash with Guatemala. Ultimately, they are eliminated from World Cup qualifying. Panama, Suriname, both on 9 points. It appears that Guatemala doesn't get nearly enough, but he does score his first international goal against Panama. Dev, we're going to talk about the conference finals here in a little bit, but we'd be remiss not to mention the fact that we had a couple coaches that coached in back-to-back conference finals, and that's a hell of an achievement. Cano Smith in Rhode Island, we'll talk about sort of how the East broke down, and then Dennis Sanchez with 2 different clubs doing it with New Mexico.
The numbers to me of how little this occurrence has happened, number one. More importantly, the success of coaches that have been able to get there, what their records is, they were pretty astounding. So we've had 199 managers, both full-time and interim, in USL Championship play dating back to 2011. That's where we consider the modern era starting. 13 different occurrences of where someone has made back-to-back conference finals. As you very correctly noted, Dennis Sanchez, Vegas, and New Mexico United has done it in back-to-back seasons. Cano Smith did it as well. The most interesting thing to me, without going person to person, is that out of those 13, there are only 3 who have winning records. Michael Watts, can you name any of those 3?
I thought you were putting me on the spot. I went, wow, this is great.
You're on the spot.
Okay. No, I mean that I was the coach. And I'm like, thank you, Devin. Finally, the respect I deserve.
Mike,
I'm a man manager. I'm not a tactics man.
You've made a lot more than back-to-back finals. Let's be clear here.
Yeah. John Hackworth.
Decade running. Sorry?
Hackworth?
John Hackworth is correct.
Mm.
Do you need a hint?
Well, you got to get to multiple finals.
You need a hint?
Right? Neil Collins.
Boom. There's 2.
Rick Shantz?
No.
Multiple finals with Phoenix. That's why I bring it up. Although Juan Guerra led him to the last one, I guess.
Hang on.
Bring it.
They didn't make the final in 19.
Oh.
Remember, they got bounced early.
The 20 game.
20. They made it in 20. Never made it in 19. Didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh. All right.
Same club as Louisville in theory. That's your hint.
Adrian Heath.
Get in there, baby. And for people that don't understand
Orlando.
that reference, Lou City bought the rights to Orlando City when they departed USL Championship for MLS. Lou City is ergo, in fact, Orlando City in disguise, which is actually, if you bring the 2 teams together, man, dear freaking Lord, is that a history? Oh, my God. For the charter rights for that team from 11? I mean, Louisville didn't exist till 15, but Orlando did. And 11, 12, 13, boy, they did just fine. Shout out to Aiden Quinn, by the way. Shout out to Aiden Quinn. Played for both.
Okay. On that note, let's take a look at our all-league teams. They've been announced this week. Look, the Golden Awards we talked about a couple weeks ago, there's no discussion about this. Devin, do you have a vote for the all-league team?
No, and I don't want one either.
Okay.
Especially after this year.
At this point, we've been offered votes and no longer want them. Right.
I refuse.
All right, let's do it. Look, on the first team, forward line, Cal Jennings, Peter Wilson, Taylor Calhara. If you scored a lot of goals, or top 3 in goals, there you are. Your midfield, Aaron Malloy, Juan David Torres, and Taylor Davila. In the back line, 3 from Louisville, Adams, Jones, Aiden McFadden, and then Sean Suber, one of 2 Ironmen in the league this year among field players, and then Damian Loss in goal. First team all-league. I'm going to say, as good as Josh Jones was, the man only played 2/3 of the games.
Not even. Keep going. Sorry.
Give or take. So I'm a little surprised there.
You finish and then I'll come back in. Sorry.
He started 16? Half?
15.
15, half. He literally just cleared the bar. So as good as he was, first team all-league felt a little bit strong to me.
Defender of the Year nominee as well.
Anyone who is first team all-league is nominated by virtue for Defender of the Year. That's why it's Adams, Jones, McFadden, Suber. Whoever got left out of the three was the fourth place finisher for all league. There, I fixed it for you.
I just so that we're clear, Louisville and around this league, I believe that based upon the path that he's on and seeing him a lot in the college game, I believe Josh Jones is really going to be a name in this league. And dare I say it, maybe elsewhere, maybe, but he's going to be a name. But not when you play half the games as a starter. And not when, out of your other 5 appearances, was it 20 on the year in the regular season out of 30, not on the other 5 where you don't play more than 60 minutes. That's insane to me. That's nothing against Josh Jones. That's just numbers. You have to be a regular player. You have to be a regular starter.
And look, the back half of the year, he did start every single game. I think it's 15 of the last 16. I get that.
From June 25th until October 11th. Yes, he did start every single game. But then he started every single game because someone got hurt. That's awesome. And I love that. And he can't control that. But you can't control the vote. Josh is awesome. I think Josh is an incredible player. He's done very well for himself. He's not an all-league player. Simple.
I think he played at an all-league caliber in the games in which he played. However,
Sure.
Right? Okay. This isn't about the player.
No, it has nothing to do with the player. How many players have we seen over the years that light it up for half a season? That's what we're talking about. That's great, man. Dude, Golden Boot winner Peter Wilson did not exist for the first half of the year.
Yep.
That's where we're at. That's where we're at. Again, that's why you don't do all-star votes midway through the season, by the way. We don't do that, but I'm just saying.
No.
I don't really have a problem with anybody else. I do wonder, obviously, the graphic itself, whoever's making the graphic, just kindly move Suber and McFadden. It's not that hard. Suber at the center back position, Aiden at the outside back spot. It's really not that hard. It frustrates me. That's how it needs to be presented. Do I believe that there is another outside back that could overtake Aiden? And margins are very tight. And I'm not disappointed that Aiden is there. My defender of the year, by the way, would be Sean Suber based upon the grouping.
Take a look at the second team all league. This graphic is really going to piss you off.
No.
Abdulatif Abakora, Francisco Budfilio, and MD Myers is your front three. Hope Avievu from Phoenix alongside Jorge Hernandez and Aiden Quinn in the midfield. It is Batista, Gurr, Maples, and Tosh in the back line. Danny Vitiello is the second team all-league goalkeeper. Jack Gurr is listed as the left center back, which, look, we're going to get a comment about this from the office, and I get it. We can all find this funny, right? This is kind of funny. As I look at it, I would have deeply considered putting MD or Francisco into the first team. I think Aiden Quinn. Yeah, I think Aiden very easily could have found his way into the first team over the balance of the season. Danny Vitiello and Damian Loss for me, based on statistics versus maybe what they brought, can be different. But for me, that's a toss-up. I'm fine with that. Your thoughts on the second team?
Yeah, no problems with it. MD, I like the shout. I would bring him in if I was going to make a change. It's really tight between he and Taylor on the first team. You have to leave the Golden Boot winner. Cal Jennings is right there as well. You can't deny the consistency that he gives all season long. The interesting one for me was when you talk about Bonfilio, I disagree. I think he's a stretch for the second team. I think he's a stretch for the second team because everything that he did was early on in the season, and he did not change. Now, Miami didn't really give him the ability to change, but he became a one-trick pony, and statistically down the stretch was non-existent in matches where the only way that Miami was going to be relevant was for him to continue to find goals, and he couldn't do that. I know people are going to look at me and go, oh, inconsistent, we're back to the Peter Wilson argument. Yeah, well, you go win Golden Boot of the League and drop 50 goals in a season, and obviously not that many. But you go outscore everybody else, and you can make the argument for being on the first team. Bonfilio didn't do enough for me to get onto the second team.
Okay. That's it? Finite?
I don't want to talk about the graphic.
Okay.
It hurts my feelings.
Yeah, poor center back. All right,
also, if you're Sean Tosh or Jack Kerr, you should be pissed off. I'm not a right back, says Sean Tosh. I am one of the best outside backs in this league, says Jack Kerr.
Okay. He's done.
If you put me, listen, well, I was very aggressive as a player, and I wanted to, yes, I came as an 8'10" growing up. I mean, I scored a ton of goals when I was a little kid, but I was an 8'10" growing up until I made the change, latter portion of my youth career at college to center back spot. If you put me at left mid, I'm going to be like, see, boys, I told you. I knew I belonged up there. But that's not really where we belong. Let's do this right. Would you put Messi at right back? No.
Before we go to break, congratulations to one Knox. Spokane back-to-back finals. Knoxville ends up undefeated at home. Nico Rosamilia scores the early goal. They win 2-0. They take the League One double. Congratulations to Knoxville with a League One record attendance. Awesome atmosphere. And Nico, congrats on the MVP. I'm sure your dad very proud and would never book you for anything that you do on the field. But off the field, I have no idea. All right. When we come back, Robbie Mertz, Pittsburgh Riverhounds, Pittsburgh native, joins us on the show, recaps the East, gets you ready for the championship final on Saturday. Here on USL All Access.
Let's get back to USL All Access on SiriusXM FC with Mike Watts and Devon Kerr.
Welcome back, everybody. It's USL All Access. We're looking forward to the USL Championship Final, taking a peek back at two epic conference finals, including a sellout in Pittsburgh. Only makes sense that we have on their native son. Also, of course, scored the game-winning goal against Rhode Island for the Hounds. Robbie Mertz rejoins the show. It's been a minute, but we're glad you're back, and welcome, man, to the final. Like, we're overjoyed for you and the group.
Thanks for having me on, guys. It's been a whirlwind, but a very good whirlwind, and happy to be here.
Take us through the Rhode Island game, because as soon as the bracket started to funnel into this, I'm thinking this is going to be a knockdown, drag-out, rock fight kind of a game. Just sort of take me through the atmosphere and sort of the memories that come to you outside of the goal, of course, that I think will be a lifelong memory.
Yeah, I think it was a good matchup for us in the sense that for us to get a third home game in these playoffs as a 4 seed was a huge advantage for us. And, obviously I think some things had to go our way for that to happen. But we had been coming off of two tight 0-0 draws, felt good about the way we were playing, but I would say of the three, this was probably the most likely to go 0-0 just based on both teams' defensive records throughout the season. And so we knew it was going to be difficult. We knew it was going to be close. And then, to step out there on Saturday night and see the fans and what our community brought to the table for us this Saturday was really special. And to get the result on top of that, it's one that I think most people that were in the stadium that night will not forget anytime soon.
Robbie, can you describe the journey of the team this year that's made it, obviously won the East, but made it to the USL Championship title game compared to the 23 team, right? That was so incredible in the regular season. In 19, you guys had success as well.
Yeah.
It's different years. I understand it. It's hard to say there are so many similarities here and there, but kind of what is this journey like compared to all of those postseason runs prior?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd probably be remiss if I didn't mention again, some of what kind of falls your way. Like you have Louisville and Charleston this year that were so dominant throughout the regular season, and then they both go out in the first round. And so I think the remaining 4 teams in the East that were left at that point are kind of all licking their chops. Like, this gives us a really good opportunity, as good of an opportunity as we've had, because we don't have to come up against either of those teams. And that's not to take anything away from this group and what we've accomplished, but it's just kind of part of the reality of playoff sports when you get to this point in the season. But as far as this specific team, I think, we've believed that we've had a great group all year. We've had to overcome adversity both on and off the field, and I think that's built a lot of resilience and made this group tighter together in the locker room. And so I don't think it's a surprise to anybody that we were able to make this run from within the locker room. We knew we had a lot of ability. It was just a matter of playing our best football in October and November, and I think that's something that's maybe we've not been able to do that in years past, but this year we found our stride.
To your point, how did you plan the stars aligning for your goal? And the reason I say that is, although certainly there's no question of what you bring to the field of play, my man, you haven't hit the back of the net in postseason play since that run in 2019. You waited 6 years. You had to be home. It had to be the Eastern Conference Final. Is this what you played out in your contract, that this was the next time that you were going to be the knight in shining armor?
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen myself as a huge goal scorer, Devin, to be honest with you. I don't think that's my most the biggest attribute that I bring to the table. That's not to say that I can't score a goal here and there, but I didn't necessarily see it as a drought, I suppose. I'm more so looking at, the performance as a whole and trying to help the team maybe in other ways at times. But we also knew on Saturday night that, the goals had been escaping us. We'd been dictating these games, the tempo of the games, creating a lot of the chances, especially against Detroit. Just hadn't managed to find the back of the net, and we needed someone to step up, and that could have been anybody on that given night. But when that opportunity fell my way, I was able to take advantage. And again, we've had a lot of people step up on this run. It hasn't just been that one play. We've definitely had some big performances, and I was happy to be able to be that guy in that moment.
Robbie Mertz is with us on USL All Access ahead of Saturday's final. You can see it on CBS live from Tulsa, noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central. By the way, have you wrapped your head around an 11 a.m. kickoff time? That just kind of came to my attention this morning. So no, I have not. Yeah. So you start carbo loading at 4:30 in the morning. Yeah. The fans start drinking at 5, and then we do the thing at 11. Robbie, look, when you make sort of light of the most likely 0-0 of the playoff run may have been the Rhode Island game, it sort of underscores the fact that typically when the Hounds play, we aren't looking at crooked numbers on both sides. Yeah. As you get later into these games, these playoff games, you get to extra time a few times. Is there sort of a belief within this group that it's gonna fall your way the longer it goes? It almost feels like there's a comfort in you guys that you've been there, you know what it takes. You aren't worried about the one mistake. You just know that you're going to get the job done. It sort of feels that way to me. Is that how it goes within the group?
I think at this point, yeah, there is a little bit of that. Again, 3 weeks ago, we're in a completely different headspace where, we're still 6 years where we haven't really managed to get over the hump. Now we're going into a final, so everything's easy to talk about in hindsight, but I think each game has brought its own challenges. Hartford was super cagey. I don't think there were a ton of great chances either way. We had a lot of the possession and the territory, but not much to separate the teams. Detroit, completely different game. I think if you watch back the second half and extra time, it would have been cruel for us to end up losing that game in penalties, and we had chances. And I specifically remember the chance I had in the 117th, the header I thought it was going in, and Saldana made a great save. So that was a completely different feel, I think. And then Rhode Island, as they typically tend to be at Highmark, it was again another cagey affair. We had some good chances and then finally got the breakthrough. But yeah, once you put those 3 performances back to back to back, you definitely build some confidence as a group, and you start to believe hey, doesn't really matter who we're playing. We're the ones that are dictating the terms of these games, and eventually it's going to fall our way, and that's what happened.
Robbie, I don't want to harp on the situation that is Bob Lilly and Rob Vincent. I just want to talk about what it's like being a player and some of the changes that have gone on. My observations compared to being a dressing room and training every single day, although could be similar in nature, are also going to be drastically different because you get it every single day. 4 games at the helm now for Rob. Can you describe, although that defensive DNA not being broken down, the pride that you guys take that no one's going to hit the back of the net, there's a little bit more flair and control on the ball under Rob. Walk us through what it's been like in some of those changes and how you feel like you guys have benefited the most and how he sees the game just a little bit differently than Bob Lilly does.
Yeah, I think for sake of not making any comparisons, I would just say that our team had developed an identity over the course of this season. I think we were really starting to lean into that, and I think Rob's approach has been to trust us as players, to trust what we had already built going into October of this year, and to let us continue to drive that. And I think that's been successful in the sense that we've started to build momentum. We've also, doubled down on our identity as a team, which is to make teams uncomfortable, to be good and organized defensively. And then you've seen, I think, some of the offensive, the possession-oriented traits that we have within our group come to light a little bit more. And that's been I think what has driven us kind of over the edge here.
The group is interesting to me, although selection from the outside looking in, selection has become a bit more narrowed. Any team does that. Usually you hit this rhythm and you want to stick with what you get come knockout time. It's interesting to me because you have extremely young players like Charles All, just out of school, right? Trying to find his way in the professional ranks. Shout out Stetson alum, by the way.
Yeah,
had to get it in there. You've got a younger pros like a Jackson, like a Bradley Sample, Sean Suber on the back line, who, 2-3 years in, finding footing. Certainly Sean's quality this year speaks for himself.
Yeah.
You guys got like yourself, Danny Griffin, Augie Williams. You've been around the league. You guys have seen a lot. What has this run been like for you guys? Because there's also an essence that there's not a ton of you on that roster that have been there for a long period of time. Just a couple of you remain from what is that original group a couple of years back.
Yeah, I think we have a great mix in that sense. Like you talked about it, we've got kind of different factions in terms of age and experience within our group. And that has, in my mind, actually been more important than maybe you'd realize early on. Like some of the energy and I would even say the looseness of the young guys, they don't realize how difficult it is. And that's a good thing because for them, whether they're a rookie or this is their second or third year, they think it's easy to get to this point and they don't realize how long you can go. You can go an entire career without getting to this stage, but that gives them, I think, a little bit more of a relaxed feel, and the energy that they bring around the locker room, the vibes, that's all important and that all factors in. But then to also have that balanced out on the other end, I think through guys like myself and like Danny and Augie and Junior, who have been around the block, who respect the situation and how important it is to everybody. That balances those two things balance each other out, and I think they bring out a good personality from the team as a whole.
Robbie Mertz is with us. Pittsburgh Riverhounds in the final against Tulsa on Saturday. You referenced some of the vets, and I'd include Eric Dick in that conversation as well. Luke's been with the club for 4 years. Augie and Junior been around the league for a long time. You and Danny have been there 5-6 years, respectively. But there's a guy adjacent to the locker room now who was in it for so long in Kenardo, who's just sort of taking all this in from the sideline. He started the year, obviously, in the playing group. Kenardo Forbes, at the time, retired as the player with the most appearances in league history. He's actually won the thing going back to 2015. What's sort of the conversation been with him as an assistant coach? How's that transition been? Do you just call him Kenny? What are you calling him now?
I'm not calling him coach, I'll tell you that much. Kenny's a friend. Kenny's a friend to me first and foremost. So I think that relationship has remained. He is the way that he's always been. I don't think it changed a whole lot, like when he made the transition from player to more being on the coaching staff. Because even as a captain, like he was more of a lead by example kind of guy. His presence was a calming presence. And I think he was never one to necessarily try to speak up and give wise words of advice or anything like that. So I think that's kind of been the role that he's continued to play, is just that calming presence and somebody who everybody in this organization appreciates having around the locker room. And yeah, he's just an overall good person, a good personality, and somebody that we all respect and love.
Robbie, earlier this year, you and your wife welcomed a child into the world. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm not sharing a bunch of private information. The reason I bring it up, I'm not going to say names and what went on. That was on June 5th. You shared with us that June 7th for you was one of the best games of your career. I'm curious why. And the reason is, statistically, it speaks for itself. Goal and assist, third time in your career you've done it. You've actually done a little bit better. You had 2 goals and assists versus RGV back in 2022. Tie in the emotion and that statement as to why you think that was one of the best games of your career.
I mean, I don't think I'll ever experience emotions like that again. She went into labor on Thursday morning. I missed training that day. And thankfully she was healthy. The baby was healthy, but there were some kind of mild complications that kept us at the hospital a little bit longer than expected. And so I wasn't really even sure my status for the game. And we were still there throughout the day on Saturday. Obviously made the call that I was going to play within the appropriate amount of time. So I'm on my way to the game and I'm like breaking down, like emotionally, like I'm crying, and I didn't know really why. I think it was like partially joy about the whole situation, but also just, leaving my wife and newborn son in the hospital. So there's just a ton of emotions going into the game, and then just kind of like rode that adrenaline into the game. And I mean, I was like, there was like a weightlessness to the way that I was playing that night. And nothing really felt like it mattered within the lines that night, which is not usually the case. I think, have more pressure on myself, and none of it mattered that night. And I think that was like what enabled me to play the way that I did, and to share that moment with some of my family in the stands, and with him in the world at that point. It was just incredible. And the emotions were so high.
Robbie, just one quick statement about the game on the weekend. Don't want you to break it down. The opponent, FC Tulsa, their body of work speaks for itself. They won the Western Conference this year. Most points in the championship from a losing position, 21 on the season. They don't need the ball. They're effectful on set pieces. Tell me why you guys come out on top in this game on the road.
Yeah, so it's interesting. We didn't get to play them this year, so I think there's a lack of familiarity with between the teams. We're obviously on the road. I think with them being the higher seed, we will be the underdog. But I think there's been a simplicity to the way that we've been kind of approaching our business in recent weeks, and the way we've been approaching games. And we feel like, kind of regardless of the opponent or regardless of the way that they're setting up, which might be a little bit different from some of the teams we've played in recent weeks, that we can get the job done. And I think we'll be physically prepared for it, because we've played teams like Rhode Island and Detroit that are super physical, and I think Tulsa will bring something similar to the table there. So those are just a couple things, I think. But ultimately, it's just sticking to what we've been doing well, and I think that is the main reason why I think we can get it done on Saturday.
Robbie, any fear for how the hair holds up with the wind in the Midwest? Do we have a special hairspray for the trip?
I'm just going to get a cut. How about that? Probably on Wednesday, and hopefully be looking a little bit better for you on Saturday.
Yeah, I will be following you to that, barber. Robbie Mertz with us from Pittsburgh. Last two from me. Last Saturday, what is the one crystallizing image that you can't get out of your mind from that game? Maybe it's before, maybe it's after, maybe it's the presentation. What's the one thing you'll never forget?
Oof, that's a tough one.
Because most people say they black out on the goal. I don't know if you did or not.
No, I think probably in part of the celebration, yeah, but I do remember pretty vividly because the ball took a slight deflection. I remember seeing it smash into the back of the net. So I think that's probably one. And then I think, sharing the moment of lifting the trophy with Danny. That's one, he's a friend to me as well, having played as long as we have together. He's the captain of this club, and for him to bring me into that with him, and to share that moment with all of our teammates and other people from around the organization was incredible. So I'd say those two things for me.
And then Robbie, Saturday, noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central, be on time, in Tulsa, Hounds and FC Tulsa. Why should people watch on CBS?
You're getting a great product in this league, honestly. The quality of players that have managed to come into this league and now stick around, I think it's a much better product than it was 5 or 10 years ago. And the quality on the field is really top notch, especially for a second division. So I think people who are neutral or maybe not fans of the league from around the country should tune in and see what we have to offer in the USL Championship.
Love it. Robbie, we can't wait. Can't wait to see you in Tulsa Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Wishing you all the best and good health, and good luck.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
That's Robbie Mertz from the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. On the other side of the break, we look ahead to the final on Saturday, next on USL All Access.
Giving insight to all the biggest moments in Championship and League One. This is USL All Access on SiriusXM FC with Mike Watts and Devon Kerr.
Welcome back, everybody. It's USL All Access on this Tuesday evening. Miss any part of the show, it's available on the SiriusXM app tomorrow, as well as the USL YouTube page in full living color. Mike Watts, Devon Kerr. We talked about the East in the context of chatting with Robbie Mertz. Let's talk about the West here, Devon. FC Tulsa, number 1 seed. New Mexico United side that about 2 months left in the year thought they had a chance at it. In the end, they had to go to ONEOK. Did not have good results against Tulsa in the regular season. Ultimately, Taylor Calhara, 2 goals. Jamie Weber scored in the 76th and essentially put it away. FC Tulsa, for a team that all year left it for late, made no qualms about finishing this thing in front of 9,100 people as early as they could this time around. Thoughts on the game?
Are we allowed to use the A word that sounds like class, but you put it together?
Yeah.
Yeah, they beat that ass.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just the score line. Like, it was 1-0 at halftime off a New Mexico United goal. And while chance creation itself wasn't where it went in the second half for Tulsa, their pressure, man, it was the most consistent I've seen them in the playoffs and the best top 5 out of the whole season long. Last week, I wanted Tulsa coming into this game to pressure or to sit back and make the center backs beat them. They didn't do that. They went right after them. The reason why I said that last week, Mike, was because the midfield and the front line for New Mexico are so good when they move that you press too high early and you don't have a group behind you, you're screwed. You have hung your entire unit out to dry. The problem within this game was not only did it not matter if Tulsa pressed high or not because they were awesome doing so and how consistent they were, there wasn't a single player in New Mexico United uniform who was willing to work off the ball to help out this back line. And from the first whistle, it got them into trouble. The naivety that they need to have the ball all the time is something we've discussed all year. It is a staple for this team. I respect it. It got them to where they were. But the best that we've seen them is to release, to be willing to get out of their own way. And in fact, that's the detriment that got them into trouble in the first half and then continued forth in the second. Jamie Weber playing in the 10 has been excellent. His ability to control tempo in the midfield, driving forward. Taylor Calhara, I actually think that some of his movement hasn't been great in this game, near perfect. New Mexico United did not have an answer. They were not able to open the game up. Valentin Noel never felt like himself. I'd make the argument that since he came in to New Mexico United from Vegas, hasn't looked fully himself overall. Maybe we got a 7.5 or an 8. I look forward to next year. Credit to New Mexico United on the run. Tulsa was just good, man. They are. They're so consistent. They're not the flashiest of teams. This was incredible, but you always know what you're going to get. They may not be a 10, even though they were in this game, but they're never going to give you a 5, and they just push you and make you feel uncomfortable.
New Mexico did not have a single shot on target in this game. We'd be remiss not to mention Kalen Ryden was the captain for New Mexico in this game. We talked about his impending retirement second week of October when he announced it. New Mexico is going to continue to shapeshift a little bit. It felt like they're building this plane on the fly the entire time. Next year, hopefully they get a chance to run at it from the start, right?
The difference to me next year is Dennis Sanchez is going to have his hands more on the roster as opposed to players that were already there, which is the reason why, understanding, he got his guys from the get-go and the roster build. He had his say from the beginning. He morphed things, just like Eric Quill did. This is not a slow build by any means. New Mexico United have had success from the get-go. This is the furthest they've gone in the league. And the expectation next year, Mike, is going to be nothing less than winning the West and winning a title. That's where they're at right now. The team's made a run in Open Cup twice. They expect to win. Even though they've never gotten there, they expect to win. And I admire that from the organization.
Yep. All right, when we come back, we're going to preview the final. Get you ready for Saturday, noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central, Tulsa and Pittsburgh. Both looking for the first star above their crest on CBS. We'll get you ready for it after this.
You're listening to USL All Access on SiriusXM FC. Here are your hosts, Mike Watts and Devon Kerr.
Welcome back, everybody. The countdown is on. The USL Championship Final is on Saturday, noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central. FC Tulsa at ONEOK Field hosting the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. Devon, couple stats before we get into the actual tactical preview of this. The Riverhounds have not conceded in 580 minutes. Tulsa have not conceded in 548 minutes. Two of the longer streaks we've seen all year. You've got two former players in the league. Rob Vincent, former first-team All-League, leading Pittsburgh in the absence of Bob Lilly. Luke Spencer, final MVP, two-time champion. Go through a couple of stats that we've hit over the last few weeks. Stefan Lukic, 6 times he's subbed on, scored a winner or an equalizer. Tulsa, in terms of their midseason acquisitions, Ian, Sousa, Weber, Amon, Stauffer, and Tyler Derrick, 5 starters and a sub acquired midseason for Tulsa. Tulsa, win or a draw in each of the last 20 games, including all 19 instances this year in which they score first. Pittsburgh, second longest active playoff streak in the league, goes back to 2018. They are the best defense in the league since that time in every important metric. On set pieces, they get a ton of opportunities and score very few. First goal, Devon, is enormous in my mind. And if there's 2 crooked numbers here, I'm shocked. This is a 1-2 goal game. If it's 2 goals, then we played 120 minutes to get it.
Certainly feels that way, doesn't it? Listen, defensively, there's no argument whatsoever, but that's what the identity of this game is built on. Within that, you need to tip your hat right now to Luke Biasi and the job that he's had. Guillaume Vactor out, Biasi into the left center back position, seamless transition. I wouldn't say that they've lost a ton at the right wing back position, but you certainly lose the familiarity. Perrin Barnes has been fine. Biasi gives you a little bit more, and they're going to need a little bit more because this isn't going to be for Pittsburgh on the road as the underdog. Robbie Mertz acknowledged that, about how they can defend. This is going to be about how quickly can your decision-making be to attack. And so I look less on the back 3 and the midfield 2. That is most assuredly going to be Bradley Sample and Danny Griffin. And I'm looking at this front line that although there's been a progression, it has to be the career night for every single player. Augie Williams, statistically, one of the best to ever do it on a front line. There's going to be regret out of the 23 final for the Charleston Battery that came up short against Phoenix Rising. We talked to Robbie Mertz. He's seen literally everything in this league. He's seen nearly everything in the pyramid in soccer in this country. Youth, collegiate, and now pro. He's going to be motivated. And Charles All, a rookie who was at an all-time level towards the mid to end of the season, he's going to do whatever it takes. And they have to make sure that against this Tulsa team, you stay emotionally grounded. Okay? You're going to be excited. You're going to be overwhelmed by the moment. It's physically demanding. And one of the biggest attributes that nobody talks about for this Tulsa team is how they push you. They get in your head. They make you think about things a million different ways just because of an extra nudge, a nice little chirp in your eye. Okay? Hey, I see you. I know what's going on. That little bump here, Lamar Batista is great at it. You got to stay leveled in your game because the level-headed nature that has been Tulsa has not departed their performance all season long. I expect nothing less from them once again, and I expect the seams and margins, however you want to look at it, to be one of the tightest we've ever seen in a championship final.
Devin, over-under references to Roughnecks. 1.5.
Oh, take the over, baby. I'll do it in the open 3 times.
The thing that you care about most, eating or drinking in Tulsa, is what?
Oh, it's going to be having a beer with Luke Spencer and Caleb Patterson-Sewell and an opportunity to pick Rob Vincent's mind and tell tell Robbie Mertz exactly where he's going to get his haircut. Not necessarily food-based, which is an odd one for me.
Yeah. Devin, did you learn anything in this show?
I learned that although this may not be the final that everybody wanted, myself included, this is probably the final this league needed. They deserve it. It doesn't have to be all glitz and glamour, and there are a ridiculous amount of storylines behind these teams and behind these players that this nation has not heard, nor this league, and it's time for everybody to open up and listen.
Yep. We have a tease that we air at the beginning of the show, and just so people know the first line, a season that never followed the script, fitting finalists to crown a new champion. And that's what we'll get. I also learned that Devin, all League One gear, no comments on League One. Go Knoxville. For Devin, Emmett, Mike, we'll talk to you again after we crown a champion on CBS Saturday, noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central, Tulsa, Pittsburgh. Enjoy the game, everybody. We'll talk to you again next Tuesday night. So long.
This is USL All Access. If you missed any portion of the program, listen back anytime on the SXM app.